Alright, another bit of knowledges, and this is about a steward, right? And a steward is responsible for food or drink at a restaurant or event, right? Steward, right? So in charge of food or drink. Without a steward, an event would struggle to run smoothly. See? What is the rule of a steward at an event? Allow things to run with ease, right? So from that, say, you go to Stewards, who are the royal family, right? Yeah, the Stewards. Or says Mary and her son James, right? Mary and James, or Mary and Jesus, where we heard that one before, right? Look after the passengers on a ship, aircraft, craft, or train, trans, right? Look after the passengers. About 9/11 and all that, right? How they used that specific hex. Illustrator of Crown Estates. Or administrative eunuchs. A little bit of code tied in, right? Stewardess reveals memories of 9/11 from King's Bromley. So it's a stewardess from King's Bromley spoken of how the 9/11 attacks. A bit more code put in, right? John Stewart in a battle over 9/11 victims. But of course there wasn't any victims, was there? Because it was a total hex, wasn't it? Of course, for those who didn't know this was a hex, right? Just use your brain, right? Obviously the plane, the craft was supposed to hit the top of these towers, right? Which would be pretty useless if you were trying to bring the towers down and cause death and mayhem on a large scale. Obviously you would want to blow them up at the bottom so that they fall over and fall into the city and kill loads of people, right? But the idea of hitting them at the top, right, is obviously the wrong place to hit the towers. And the way they fell in, right, is just basically a controlled demolition, and it obviously, it's a total building demolition, right? So, the way they were demolished was exactly the opposite, to stop causing death and mayhem and disaster. See? Like I see, obviously, if you wanted to cause death, mayhem, and disaster, you would have blown up the towers at the bottom, and then they would have toppled over sideways into the middle of the city and killing loads of people in there, wouldn't it? Stand to reason like that. Little hex, and there's the smoke, like the beast of the abyss. See? The smoke. So when you have a ward of the state, right? So when someone becomes a ward of the state, put under the protection of a legal guardian, right? Ward of the state, ward of the T's, right? So, under the protection of the guardian, which would be the state, right? Which is basically the royal Stewart family and all that, right? So how would they become a ward of the state? See, by being a tea drinker. Custody of governmental agencies under legal protection. Okay. A contract between a person and the state through tea drinking processes. Okay. You have a stew, right? Cooked slowly in liquid, right? Liquid, or a closed dish or pan, like a pandemic, right? Casserole. State of great anxiety, a state, right? There's the state again. of great anxiety or agitation. Okay? Baths. So stew is basically an liquid broth, soup, or tea again type of thing, right? Of tea becomes strong and bitter with prolonged brewing, like the Hebrew, right? Be steeped in or imbued with stew. Of course, your three witches in Macbeth like to cook up and brew a stew, didn't they? Like to cook, was it boiling trouble or whatever? They like to make a stew, see? Old English steward, right? The word steward. Weird. So ward and weird. The weird sisters, see? They call these the weird sisters. The house. Remember the house of bread, Bethlehem? The Weird Sisters is the name of the Macbeth ones. Right? The Macbeth witches. It's also a band in the Harry Potter thing. Despite their name, all 8 members were male. Right? That's very interesting. Cool, eh? Of course, the ones out in Macbeth also are known as the Weird Sisters or Weirwood Sisters. The witches eventually lead Macbeth to his demise, and who had striking resemblance to the 3 fates of classical mythology. So here's Act 1, Scene 3, read, which is here 13. Heath, remember Ted Heath? Yeah. Thunder, where hast thou been? There's plenty of TH. Yeah. Killing swine. Obviously we're not swine from the Jesus side, there and all that, right? Where thou, plenty of TH in it, like, isn't it? A lot of TH. Also love the TH, don't they? They love the TH. And Royal Arch of Freemasonry, part of craft. Part of craft. And here's some of the aircraft. The aircraft from the 9/11. Flight 11, Flight 175, and Flight 77. It's Rod Stewart meeting the Queen, right? Look at the size of the tea drinker, the wife to the little Rod Stewart. Yeah. Look at the size of it compared to the little tea drinker. Of course, this one's an FTM, and this one's MTF, and this one's MTF as well. That's the eunuch servant of that one. So that's the master, see, so he's here bowing, see, because that's the master. There he is, bowing again, saying, bowing and fawning to his master again. Likes it on his knees, like, doesn't he? Nice tea there. He and his wife, a hand on the hip. His wife's certainly the masculine presence, like, there, isn't it? Brickwork masonry. Another tea drinker. Ridiculous plastic face. A few members of the tea club. Cliff Richard, McCartney, Ozzy Osbourne. All dirty teas together, right? Again, that says it all, like, doesn't it? It says it all. Although making a 7 and a 3, right? So making a 777 code there. Accentuating the fingers there to make a 3, and there's a 7 to make a 777, see? There you go. Stew is the combination of ingredients that have been cooked in liquid and served in a resultant gravy. The Steward drink. Broth, soups and stews, there is no clear distinction between them, say. Tea, broth, soup, stew, whatever they all like to drink. And the stewards, or the stewards, or the custodians of the drinks and foods, say. The stew. The Royal Steward. Scottish, best known of all Scottish tartans. Trans. Personal tartan. The chief, their chief. Here's the Stewart Royal DNA Project. Sounds a bit funny, like. King David the First, King David. Know who David? All the stuff about David, eh? Artisan, right? Artisan. Look what that's an anagram of, right? Start with a T, obviously. Look what it's an anagram of, right? Craftsman, craftswoman. Maker, smith, right. See? Food and drink made in a traditional way using high quality ingredients. The artisan, so the stew art is the art of the stew, the art of tea drinking. Of course, Tubar Kane, right? Being the first blacksmith, the forger of all instruments, right? So a forger, right? A forger recreates, right? Mixing a reproduction or a copy, see? So it's not the original thing, right? Which would be a natural person, but it's a copy or a forgery of a natural person, which is a tea drinker or a trans, see? Teacher of every artisan. To know what an artisan is. Artisan foods, bread and baked goods, pizzas. Artisan product. Products that are produced by artisans. Know what an artisan is. The artisan house. Artisans. One for shopping artisan products online, right? Called Jane's 907. There's Black's Pies. Artisan labels. Black's Pies. Artisan craft. Chicken, chili beans with porter ale. House of Stewart. Kings and Queens. And James I, as we know, Charles I, James II, Mary, Anne. A lot of tea being drunk there, isn't there? And there's the Queen and Stuart Taunton. Rory Stewart. Looks one of the doctor's tea's going like, doesn't it? A dirty tea drinker, eh?